So how do we know what notes to play in our chord? We know, hopefully, that a chord is several notes played together, okay? We just take a bunch of notes and we play them together. A melody or a scale is a bunch of notes played one after the other. Chord is a bunch of notes played together. So what we need to do now is work out what notes we need to play to formulate our major chord, our minor chord, and our diminished chord. And once we've got that down, we'll be ready to start making our own music. Like many things we've discussed so far, there's a formula. And the formula is for a major chord, so we'll start with our major chord. To formulate a major chord, or to work out what notes we need in our major chord, we take the root note. Okay, we take the root note. It's important to remember at this point, when I say the root note, we're not talking about the root note of the piece of music that we are composing in, okay? We're talking about the root note of the chord that we want to play. So we talked earlier about how the root notes of the chords were based on the degrees of the scale. To formulate our chord, we take a root note of the chord that we want to play. The first note in the key of C major, the root note of the key, is a C. So let's look at that first. We know from the previous section that the chord based on the first degree of a scale is a major chord. So we need to make a major chord based on the root note of C. The formula is really easy. You take the major scale based on that root note and you play the first, the third, and the fifth note. Let's hop over into BandLab and see how that looks. I've got my project open from when we were looking at the key of C major. So I've just got my C major project, my C major scale there. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to box select all those notes and backspace, and they're all gone. I'm going to come down here to go into the instrument, okay? And I've got my grand piano. Got it set up for C and then the major scale. I want it in octave 3. So I've got C major scale and I've got it in octave 3. That gives me my C down here. Remember, B and C are to the left of the 2 black notes. E and F are to the left of the 3 black notes. That's how you find your way. We've already talked about that. So I said that a major chord is the first, the third, and the fifth notes of the major scale. So I go first note, third note, fifth note. Okay, and those are my 3 notes. So those are my 3 notes, and I just need to play them together, and I've got my chord. When it comes to putting our chords into BandLab, however, there is another way of looking at it that might be more helpful, okay? And it's a thing we've come across before of skipping semitones. So the formula for a major chord is you play the root note, you skip 3 semitones, and you play the next note. Then you skip 2 semitones, and then you play the next note. So it's skip 3 and then skip 2. That gives us C, E, and G as our 3 notes for the C major chord. I should point out at this point, you can play them in any order you want. The C doesn't need to be the lowest note, the G doesn't need to be the highest note, and the E doesn't need to be in the middle. They can be in any order you want, but so long as you've got the first, the third, and the fifth note of the major scale based on the root note, then that is a major chord. Let's hop back into BandLab and put the C major chord into the MIDI editor and see how it sounds. So I'm going to click down here to get the MIDI editor. Just spotted I haven't deleted a note there. And go down to C3 because that's where we were. So remember, we play our root note. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change these to whole notes. I think I've got to put one in first. So we play our root note. We put our root note into our MIDI editor. I'm going to make it a whole note. So it lasts the bar, it's a whole note. We skip 2 semitones at 1, 2, and we play the next note. So that's there. And then we skip 2 semitones and we play the next note. Skip that one, skip that one, skip that one. Now if I play that, that should be a C major chord. Sounds pretty good. To work out the notes that we need to play a minor chord, we can follow the same process as before. Pick our root note, construct the major scale based on that root note, and look for the third and the fifth notes of that scale. The one extra thing we have to do here is flatten the third note, okay? So, we've taken our root note A and we've formed a scale. This is the A major scale, and you can tell that from the key signature over here. A major is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Our third note is 1, 2, 3, C sharp, and our fifth note is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, E, E natural. The extra thing we have to do is flatten the third note. So rather than playing C sharp, we play C natural. So our three notes of the A minor chord are A, C, and E. Once again, they don't have to be played in that order. The formula is simply to tell you what notes you need to play at the same time to be playing an A minor chord. In terms of skipping semitones, the same technique applies, but this time, instead of skipping 3 semitones and skipping 2 semitones, we skip 2 semitones the first time, and then we skip 3 semitones. So you play the A, you skip 2 semitones, play the next note, which in this case is C, and then you skip 3 semitones, play the next note, which in this case is E. So the formula for a minor chord is skip 2, skip 3. Just to remind you, the formula for a major chord is skip 3, skip 2. So with a minor chord, it's just the other way around. It's skip 2, skip 3. Let's see how that looks in BandLab. I've come back to where I previously had my C major chord. I've deleted my C major chord, and now I want to play A minor, okay? So let's look at our scale. C, D, E, F, G. That's our A. So let's play that A as our root note. That's our A. Skip 2 semitones. So we'll skip that one, we'll skip that one, and we'll play that one. That gives us the third degree of our A major scale. But remember, we flattened it. The actual third degree would be that black note there, but we flattened it to enable us to play a minor chord. A minor chord. So we skip 2, play the next note. Now we need to skip 3 and play the next note. So I'm going to skip that black note, I'm going to skip that white note, I'm going to skip that black note, and I'm going to play that note there. That gives us our A minor chord. Let's hear it. There we go. I'm going to delete that, and now let's talk about diminished chords. To formulate our diminished chord, we can use a technique similar to the one we used to form both the major chord and the minor chord. That is, to take the scale based on the root note of our chord. You'll remember in the key of C, if we want to play a chord based on the 7th degree of the key of C, that has to be a diminished chord. The 7th degree of the key of C is B, so we would play B diminished. So we take the first, the third, and the fifth note based on the B major scale. You'll remember how to make a minor chord. We took the first, the third, and the fifth note of a major scale, and we flattened the third note. To make a diminished chord, we flatten the third note, and we flatten the fifth note. That gives us a stepping pattern of skipping 2 semitones and then skipping another 2 semitones. So, play the B, that's our root note. Skip 2 semitones and play the next note, that's D. Skip another 2 semitones play the next note, that's F. Just to summarize, a major chord is skip 3, skip 2. A minor chord is skip 2, skip 3. And a diminished chord is skip 2, skip 2. Let's see how it looks in BandLab. So it's the penultimate note of the C major scale, so it's that B. So that B is our root note. Let's make a diminished chord based on the note of B. Really easy, skip 2 semitones. So I'm going to skip that one, play the next note. Skip that one, play the next note. And that should give me the chord of B diminished. Sounds pretty good.